I think one of the most important things about storytelling is vulnerability. And I think so often maybe it's just like a buzzword to many. But I think if you allow yourself to stand there and be seen, it gives permission to your clients to be seen. And if your clients and the people around you can be seen, and if it's true that your business is a collective of people and they can see you, then you get a backstage pass to these people. I realised that was just all photos of me. That's fine. One person showed up to my first time I talked at a conference like this, and it was a room about this big, and I was in New York. It was 2015. I remember 2013 I started my business, and I was just so ambitious. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I was just a hungry dog that was just so excited to just chase anything and do everything. And I came up with all these unrealistic goals. Like, I want to be an international wedding photographer. I'm going to be one of the best. I want to talk on stages. I want to be able to travel the world. I want to do all these things. And in the first 12 months actually of running my business, I hit a lot of the goals that I set, which is pretty interesting because I didn't know how to use my camera. Before I became a full-time wedding photographer, this is actually no word of a lie, the only wedding I ever been to was my mum's, and I didn't know how to use my camera with a fisheye lens out of auto mode, and I actually booked 6 figures worth of work that year, which is mind-blowing. So 2015 came around, and I had a friend that was speaking at a workshop, and I was in New York, and I was thinking to myself, imagine if I could go and stand on a stage. Like, that'd be so cool. So I shot off an email to the guys that were planning it. I was like, do you guys want me on stage? Like, I don't know who you are, Jai, and we can't afford to fly you from Australia to New York. I said, well, don't worry, because I happen to be in New York that weekend anyway. So they said, yeah, sure, what can you talk about? And I said, well, I can talk about sales, storytelling, a whole bunch of things. And then they agreed, and they said yes. So I've never talked on the stage before, certainly not in front of hundreds of people or anything like that. But I flew myself across there, and I got there, and I was really excited about it. And I remember we had the orientation night the night before, and I walked in, and they had this big draping curtain splitting up the room, and they had all the presenters on one side, and they shuffled me in there. And I was looking out, and I could see everybody. I wanted to go out and meet some people, but they shuffled me in there, and I said, why do we have to stay in here? And they said, well, it makes you look more famous. If we can keep you in here, and if the attendees don't see you, then you're more exclusive, okay? So just do what you're told. And I'd never been at a workshop before, so I'm like, yeah, okay, sweet, I can do that. So I get back there, and I didn't realize this, but they had this orientation. They had a stage much bigger than this. It was actually the main area. It was really big, and they got everyone to come up on stage and introduce themselves. And basically, you had to sell yourself to the audience because 4 speakers were on at the same time, and they were rotating. And I didn't realize this. So the first guy is a friend of mine. He's a really amazing wedding photographer in the US. And I don't know if anyone here spent much time in the US, but they're very different to Australians. Australians like to keep pretty humble. And I don't know if Europeans can be the same. Americans, not as much. So the first guy gets on stage and he's like, I am the best. You've got to come to my pricing workshop. It's going to change your life. And I was like, whoa, that was a big promise. The next girl gets up. You got to come to my workshop. It's about storytelling. It's fundamentally going to change your mindset. It's going to transform you as the way that you live, everything, right? And I'm like, shit. And then it's my turn to get up. And I'm so nervous. Like, walk out on stage. And I'm like, hi, my name's Jai. No one knows who I am. I've shot lots of weddings and I've been traveling the world, and I just started my business, and I'd love to share some storytelling and some marketing stuff with you guys. So if you want to come to my workshop, it's tomorrow at 9 a.m. Anyway, I thought I did a good job. That night, I was sitting around with the speakers once again. We're having this like orientation dinner thing. And these guys, they were like, it wasn't just a wedding photography conference. It was also like the biggest fashion photographers in the world. We had National Geo, like we had a big crew of people, the best of the best. And I'm sitting on this table going like, all right, this is amazing. One guy says from across the room, hey, imagine if no one showed up at your workshop tomorrow. And everyone started laughing. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that was possible. So a new fear unlocked. Then this girl bounces back to him and says, imagine if one person showed up. That'd be even worse. And I was like, shit. Did not even think this was a thing. So that night I went home, got up in the morning. I was pretty nervous. It was 9 a.m. I'm the first speaker, just like right now. And I went for a run, was listening to a podcast, got in nice and early, set up my laptop. I was in this room all by myself, trying to work out how to do the lights and everything. And then 9 o'clock comes around, and I've noticed there's nobody in my room. So I like walk out just to check to see what's going on outside, and I can see the other rooms, and they're full of people. And then I walk back into my room, and I'm like, well, might as well pack it up, I guess. And then the door opens, and one person walks down, comes around, and then sits down right in front of me. She's got a backpack, she puts it to the side and everything, and she just looks up at me. And I'm like, shit. It is worse. So I get down and I'm like, hey, we could do like a one-on-one session or something. Maybe I could help you with your business. And she says, no, just do your presentation. Well, I made it for hundreds of people. Like there's, I don't think we need to do that. Yeah, no, just do it as you're going to do it. Okay, this just got a lot worse. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I've already mentally practiced this. I flew myself across the world. I put myself up. I'm trying to make my break. I don't have any money. So I'm just going to present as if it's a room full of people. And I did for an hour. And I made the jokes, and I looked at all the chair heads, and I pretended there was people there. She laughed like twice. We caught eyes like twice. It was really awkward too, because I would like look over at her and pretend that she's not the only one that's looking at me. So all this to say, thank you so much for actually showing up. So I'm going to talk today about quite a few different things. I'm going to break it up into 3 chapters and try and make it nice and easy for you. For me, I've always had a bit of a problem with whatever it is that I do. There's always problems. And as entrepreneurs, we always love problem solving. And it's usually, when I have a problem, maybe it's like I'm not booking enough work, or maybe it's something in my personal life, or whatever it is. But when it's something to do with my business, I always think about like, maybe it's my offer, maybe it's my price, maybe it's my marketing. Like maybe I just didn't show up enough. Maybe I didn't post once a day like everyone tells me on Instagram. Damn it, that's why I'm not successful. And I think of all these different things. And I'm looking for the missing piece of the puzzle. And really what it comes down to is my ability to sell. And I know most people here don't want to talk about selling, or everybody hates it. Because I've talked to many of you and you'll say like, oh man, I love living the dream, but I hate doing sales. But it just so happens I do it all the time now because I'm full time. Does anyone feel like that? We try to avoid it, but we have to do it. So the missing piece, and the reason why no one showed up at my talk, is because my ability to sell. You need to have the ability to sell an idea. It doesn't matter how good my presentation was. It doesn't matter about the client experience and the jokes I was going to tell and all the things that I crafted, if it's a room full of nobody, because nobody shows up. And so as much as I hated doing sales, I realized, especially at that moment, that it's one of the most important things that I have to learn, because if I want to create an amazing experience, and if I want to change my life, and if I want to do the things I want to do, I'm going to have to get other people on board. And so selling is connecting. So we're going to go deeper though. I want to talk about not sales. We're going to go deeper. We're going to talk about storytelling. Over the next couple of days, you're going to learn some really incredible things. I talked to a couple of the different speakers here. You're going to learn some really cool stuff. You're probably going to learn how to photograph better, how to talk to people, how to edit. I mean, I don't even know what you're going to learn, but I'm going to add one more thing to your list. What I want you to do is I want you and me to work out how can we help the human race. That's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to do today. And it's not a joke, and I know it's a big promise, but I think it's really, really important. Our survival as humans depend on culture and storytelling. And culture and storytelling comes when you have a group of people with similar values and beliefs. So what is a business? A business is a collective of people that come together with similar values and beliefs, and they work on a single purpose. Now, everyone in this room has a big group of people. Because although a lot of us like to tell us the story of like, I'm self-made, I'm a lone wolf, it's me against the world, man, none of that I believe is true. I believe that you're surrounded by people that love you, people that support you. You're sitting next to somebody else. That's part of your circle. You made that happen. You're sitting in this room. This is a community now. Your business coach at this present moment. It's your clients. It's your followers, subscribers, the people that you follow, the podcasts you listen to, the books that you read. All these people collectively come together to form your business. And you made that happen. And I think that's fucking cool. So although we think sometimes we're a lone wolf and we're self-made, I think we need to give more credit to those that we spend our time with and those that lift us up. So if we are surrounded by people with similar values, then something remarkable happens. So how do we do it? How do we surround ourselves with people with similar values, similar beliefs? Well, we connect through stories. We've always connected through stories. I've got a quick little video for you here.
Photos look cool, man, but the adventure to get the photo, that's the thing.
Okay, we gotta get back in the car. You gotta get back in the car.
adventure that I had with Kara this year. And for me, that represents my business pretty much. Like, my business makes no sense, I can tell you that much. I am making so many mistakes all the time. I'm almost always losing all my money, then making all my money. Like, you should see how unbelievable and how unstable my life is. Nothing makes any sense, and there's so much magic in it, and I love running my business like this. You know, so my business is my story, and it's unveiling, and I get to do all this cool shit, and I love it, and it blows my mind, man. You know, when I came here, so many people said to me, like, Jai, how was the flight? It must be a long way, it must have drained you. I'm like, man, like, I flew 25 hours here, I feel so energized. I'm just sitting there, like watching a movie, flying across the world to go live my dream, and then get to come home. Like, that's pretty fucking cool if you ask me. I've got nothing to complain about, ever. So my first business was a cafe. I don't know if you guys know this, but I wanted to share a quick story on that. I started this cafe, I was about 19 years old, and I was in the circumstances that I didn't love, and I wanted to change my life, and had this big vision for myself. And I remember I turned to my now wife, and I said, you know, when I'm really old, like 30 years old, I know, I literally remember saying it too. I'm like, when I'm like so old, like 30 years old, I'd love to start a cafe. And she was like, oh, that'd be cool. I'm like, yeah, you barely work. You just like drink coffee and talk to people. Like, what a life that would be, you know. When you're naive, you don't really know what a business is, do you? And at this time, I was actually helping my dad. He was in and out of, well, was in rehab at this moment. And I remember I was going backwards and forwards, and I was like trying to help my dad kick a drug problem that he had since he was 11 years old. And it just got so severe at this moment that he finally asked for help, and I could finally get some help for him. And I would go over there after work, and I'd bring my guitar over, and I'd play music with him, and he'd share me wild stories with like stuff that's happening in the rehab place. This place was like really religious, so he was telling me, and he wasn't, so he was telling me all these, what he thought was like wild stories, because he went into the church for the first time. He's like, man, you should hear what's going on in here. He was a wild character. He was missing his teeth. He was just a nomad. And I thought, like, if I gave him a purpose, maybe I can change his life somehow. And to give him purpose, the only purpose that I knew at 19 years old was like, maybe I need to give him a job. So after work, I would go down with my 40 cents and I'd put it into the payphone, and I'm really showing my age here, and I'd go through the directory and I'd just start ringing businesses, like landscape businesses, the cafe, local fast food place, anyone. And I did it for weeks and weeks, and everybody said no. And I understood. I mean, he was unemployable. But I started questioning, like, who makes the rules? And who's the gatekeepers? It's the business owners. The business owners make the rules, man, because they're the ones that can employ people or not employ people. So for me to change my life and to my big purpose, give my dad a purpose, I had to be a business owner. So I'm going to start my first business. So came home, told my partner, guess what, selling the car, getting out of loan, we're starting a business, we're starting a cafe. She's like, all right. And I went all in on this thing. And to do it, I had no money. So I brought together all my friends, all my family, their friends, their family, people I've never even met before. And we started this gigantic cafe. It could sit about 300 people. And I had randoms in there painting and doing floral arrangements and, you know, helping with the kitchen and putting things together. And my dad was going to be a chef because he was always good at cooking, and I thought, you know, that's a good thing to do. And we're going to start off with a music festival. And one of my big unrealistic goals was I was a musician at the time, so before I did photography, I did music. And I was like, you know what, I want to help all the musicians and I want to highlight them in the area. And if I start with a music festival, then my big purpose is I can like help others, and it would be really cool. So I had the two purposes. I'm going to turn that off because it's terrible. I thought it was cool though. I found it on my phone the other day. So I sold tickets to this thing. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I used to sell tickets to my puppet shows, and I've always been in front of people, even though I hate it. And I sold tickets, and then I went home to my mum's house one afternoon just to go see her. And I was actually living at home at this time, and Went around and the police were there. And I was like, what? Why are the police here? Now, to put it in context, I grew up on what was considered back then the most dangerous street in New South Wales, that part of Australia, and New South Wales is the biggest part of Australia. And so our street was patrolled twice a day by the police, and it's only 14 houses long, so it was tiny. And it was, you could imagine this place, man. Like if anything was going down, it was there all the time. And so I wasn't surprised that the police were around, but I had this gut feeling that something wasn't right. And I went inside, and they were talking to Mum, and I remember her just letting out this scream, and I just knew what would happen, like straight away. My brothers and sisters were running around, and I lost my dad from a drug overdose 2 weeks before I opened up that cafe to give him the purpose. And you know what happened? My purpose disappeared. And I don't know, has anyone ever had a purpose disappear? Has anyone ever run a business and the purpose disappeared out of the business? Probably not, because you're all still here. It's really fucking hard to run a business if you have no purpose. So I opened up the cafe and it all went to plan. I didn't have time to grieve or anything. And it was a hard future ahead of me. Because my dad passed away, my napkin business plan, which made no sense anyway, said that my dad was a chef, so now I had to hire a chef. So I had to get a full-time job to pay the chef, and then I had to work. I worked 50 hours a week, and it was a 2-hour drive to get there, 2-hour drive to get back, 5 days a week, and then I had to work 40 hours in the cafe, and I did that for 12 months. And I tell you what, you learn some shit about yourself when you do that. You know, I think one of the most important things about storytelling is vulnerability. And I think so often maybe it's just like a buzzword to many. But I think if you allow yourself to stand there and be seen, it gives permission to your clients to be seen. And if your clients and the people around you can be seen, and if it's true that your business is a collective of people and they can see you, then you get a backstage pass to these people. And if you want to be the best photographer you can possibly be, then you have to have this pass. Because if you don't, what are you taking photos of? You have to have the pass where you can walk into the room and people feel comfortable with you, and they will share with you, share intimate moments that nobody else gets to see, you know, as if you're their best friend. When you're a business owner, you need to be able to share these ideas or what you're going through. Like if I'm fucking struggling, which I am all the time, I can tell you that much, I'm sharing it with my friends that are also struggling, and it takes us 2 seconds to snap out of it and then we're on our way, but I think it's so important that we do that. If I hear a founder's story, it's like a glimpse into their soul. I feel like I know somebody, and I can see the way that they think. I can see their values now, and it starts building trust, and then I feel like I know them. And then it no longer becomes a transaction. It's a transformation. If I can work with this person, I'm not asking for discounts, man. I don't care what you're pricing yourself at. It's a whole different ball game now. And if the photos, you're looking at these photos and you're like, man, what the fuck? How did Jai get into that location to get that photo of that person and it looks like you could never take that photo? It's because you have to have this all access pass. Now, I'm not saying that anyone here needs to share, you know, deeply about anything of yourself. We can share the smallest things about ourselves and it paints a picture. And I think that's really, really important. So I want you to make a commitment with me. We're going to help the human race, right? Are we going to do it? Yes. Okay, how do we do it? We're going to bring some people together. We are going to find our purpose and our story, and then we're going to combine it with our clients or the people that we work with. So I want to live my dream, I'm going to bring them along with me. And if I can do that, I can create a collective of people, and then I'm going to create a culture, I'm going to create a story, and then from there, I think things are going to get so much easier, and we can take our business out of hard mode. So, I want to ask you guys, because I am the first speaker here, I want to ask you guys, and I want to share a few things with you. But does anyone have a purpose or a goal that you want to share? And I'm going to make you feel nervous because I'm going to walk around with a microphone and everyone's going to say, please don't say me. But if somebody wants to say and put their hand up, and it could be something big, something small, it could be, I just want to do it for my kids. Man, I'm just trying to change my life. I want to inspire somebody.
Fuck the haters, that's my purpose.
Exactly. If that doesn't inspire you, everyone's quickly hiding their faces. Here we go.
Oh, I knew that. I'm lost at the moment, so I'm searching for a purpose.
I love that. Does anybody, put your hand up, I'll run around. A whole room of people coming to Grain Festival. No one wants to share a purpose?
Before wedding, I always have a overthinking.
Before wedding, what?
Overthinking.
Perfect.
Is it everything will be okay?
Yeah. There you go.
My big problem.
Anybody else?
I can share mine.
Yes.
So my purpose is to make Croatia the lead destination in Europe.
Why do you want to do that?
I don't know, I just love this country.
Perfect.
And I want to give back to it.
Who wants to work with that person? Yeah? We got some more. Just put your hand up, man. I want to hear. We're going to inspire some people here.
Well, I want to make Super 8 film accessible to everyone in Europe. So, like, I'm planning to do the whole company and everything around that because it's not accessible. I want to make that. So, yeah.
It's epic. Has anybody else got any dreams? I love trying to pry dreams out of people's hands.
I want that what I build up now doesn't get lost when I can't photograph anymore.
I love
so
that.
I want to build something up that can live on,
Yes.
even if I can't.
And that sounds fucking awesome to me.
I want to learn to film on roller skates.
Fuck yes. Come on. Come on, guys. Tell us about the uncommon.
No, my purpose in business
Yes.
is to be fulfilled.
There we go. Hey, I'm always fighting, okay? Man, my life is a fight. And I don't mind that my life's a fight. Like, I signed up to be the entrepreneur, the creative. And I fight, there's two fights going on in my mind. So I have my brain, and my brain, man, it tells me some shit stories. They're terrible. And then I have me, and I'm the brain master. So me, I have hopes and dreams, and I want to dream big, and I want to go to New York, and I want to stand on the stage, and I want to do the things. Regardless if anyone shows up, I'm still going to present, and that's me. I will do that. Nothing's going to stop me in my purpose of what I need to do, except maybe my brain. My brain doesn't want me to succeed. Success is the enemy. It's trying to keep me safe all the time. It's saying stuff like, well, Jai, you're not good enough. Who's going to listen to you? Don't raise your hand. Hopefully Jai doesn't walk past me right now and say something, because you know you can't let your dreams out. You know you can't say something. You'll look stupid. You'll sound stupid. No one wants to hear it. And your brain is going to say this to you over and over until you start believing it. Until you fly across the world and you get into a room with people in a conference and we don't even raise our hands to share why the fuck we're here. Because our brains are like, nope, not this time. And I know what your brain's saying to you right now as well. It's saying, well, I know what Jai is saying, but it's not going to work for me. It doesn't work. I'm telling you. And that brain, man. And imagine this, if you wake up in the morning every day and that's the voice that you hear, imagine waking up. Like, you probably don't want to. You're waking up at 11, you're thinking, oh, geez, got to get back to those emails. Got to make sure I'm not successful, got to stay safe. Got to keep it boring, got to pay the bills. And that's how we think, right? And imagine if you start hijacking your brain with you, and you are in control. And we can do this. I've done this over the course of my life, of growing up where I was, in the situation that I was in. I imagine myself to be here where I am now. I'm not surprised that I have success because I I seen it, I worked for it, I made it happen. Because I allowed myself to change the fight. I changed the fight. We can hijack our brains in many different ways, but the best way to do it is to lie to it or tell it a better story. So for instance, if I wanted to get on stage, for instance, and I'm like, whoa, public speaking, that's got to be one of the worst things in the world. This is my brain talking to me. But then I'm like, no, man, imagine the connections. That'd be amazing. And my brain's like, nah, dude. And then I start reasoning with my brain. I'm like, remember that time I started that business and it was successful? Yeah, man, you got this, okay? Don't worry, we've got you. And then I'll start telling a new story. We also do this with the way that we act, or the way that we talk, or the way that we dress. We're always telling ourselves a story. Like, I want to dress outlandish, but my brain's like, nah, dude, keep it safe. Someone wants to ride in with roller skates. Brain's saying, hell no, man. Hell no. But what do you want to do? That's an absolute yes. I want to be on roller skates. So I think the more that we hijack our brain, we can create a better story, and we should tell ourselves a better story all the time. And it starts with just one little story. And it could simply be something like, hey man, I know that you said that you're nervous on stage, but it's not nerves, it's excitement. You're about to help somebody. Someone in that room is going to listen, and they're going to need you right now at this moment. And then my brain goes, okay, sweet, well, if you've got it, we're good. And here's the thing. You're going along for the ride in life, and you have two different captains of your ship. One is going to be your brain, and it's taking you for a ride. And the other's going to be you, and you get to choose, right? So between my brain and then me, my brain's master, there's this void, and it's full of anxiety and unfulfillment and unhappiness. And it pulls me between, like, what am I supposed to do to what am I actually doing? And I keep going backwards and forwards, like, man, just show up, Jai, just fucking do it. And then my brain is saying, don't do it, man, keep safe, dude, watch Netflix. Backwards and forwards. Does anyone relate to that? Yes, 2 people. So I honestly think that what we need to do is hijack our brain, and we've got to tell ourselves a better story. And I actually think that every good story starts with a lead character. I think if you don't have a lead character, then it's really, really boring. Now, I'm going to do some lo-fi music playing here to make it really dramatic. And also, because I want to be better than the other speakers. And I thought if I could do this, then we're ramping up a little bit. Ooh. So I've got my headphones on, and I'm walking down the street. And this car's going past me. I'm in a new city. I'm about to go and talk on a stage. I'm thinking about what got me here today, thinking about all the mistakes that I made, thinking about how much I'm a failure, thinking about my success, thinking about all the amazing people I've got in my community. I'm thinking about how the sun's coming out, but it's really cold at the same time. And I'm just thinking about how everything is happening for me right now. And it's really incredible. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. And I realized that I am the main character. I don't know if you guys know this, but this is the Truman Show soundtrack. Can you hear it? I don't know if you love that song or not. I'll be in that show. But if you think about the Truman Show, and that one person where all these things are happening and he's trying to work out life, and I think we are in the show. And I think it's really cool to think of it like that. So here's the secret, right, to the lead character that I think not many people really think about. But it's you. Like, you are the secret. You're the X factor of your business. Like, you are the secret sauce. And so often we automate out our secret sauce. It makes no sense. I was talking at a conference like this just a few weeks ago, and I asked a bunch of people, like, what do you think of ChatGPT and AI? And half of them were like, no, I hate that. Like, interesting, why do you hate it? So, well, because it's no longer me, and it's, I just don't know. I don't like things changing. Okay, what if So I talked to one person that hated ChatGPT. What if you're the only person that could use it? And nobody else even knew about it. And that person, what did they say? Oh, absolutely love it. That sounds amazing. Interesting. So you do love it, you just don't love the fact that everybody else gets to use it. Okay. But here's the weird thing about artificial intelligence. You actually have human intelligence, and nobody else gets to fucking use it. And I think that's really cool. And for some reason, we are outsourcing so much that makes us special. Like, oh, I'm not going to show it on social media, I'll give that to a social media planner. I'm not going to write my own copy or my captions. Man, no. Send that off. And I think we lose ourselves when we outsource ourselves. And if you are scared of AI or other things taking over you or your industry or your business, it's probably because you don't have a deep enough story that makes you, like imagine if you were ChatGPT for your own business. So we are amazing storytellers. Like we know this, right? And we take photos all the time, and that's how we express ourselves. And many of us, we don't share stories ourselves or about ourselves because we make the client the lead character. And then we are no longer the lead character. And then we kind of just wash away. But we are incredible storytellers. And I can tell you what, if an incident happened at the back of this place right here, and 10 of you guys, my super fans at the front here, my only fans here, if 10 of you guys all seen that incident, you would all recall it in a different way. You all chose to see it differently. You're actually seeing something completely different, even if you're standing side by side. And I think that's really incredible. Because when we show up on social media or on our website, or when we're having a client meeting and we want to sell to people, the reason why someone's coming to you and the reason why there's no competition is because how can they compete, man? It's actually impossible. You're the only person that gets to use that ChatGPT. That's pretty cool. Thanks, guys. So what I want you to do is I want you to find your own story, and this is how I suggest that you do it. First of all, I suggest don't be inwards too much. I tried that shit, man. It's good, you should do it, but don't get stuck there. So the first things I would do is I would go inwards for a tiny little bit, and I would go step one, I'd hop off social media just for a moment. Don't stress, your business is not going to die. But just get off there for a moment so you're not competing and comparing and looking at everybody else, even if it's just 1 week whilst you do this exercise. Number two, I want you to look inwards and then write down what are your values. Like what's actually your value and the things that you value. Number three, I want you to write down your beliefs. So what are the things that you believe to be true? Because these are the things that you're going to ooze out to everybody else. The next steps, I'm going to get you to go outwards. So number four, what have you achieved in your life? What are the big things you've done? I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she was saying, Jai, like my big unrealistic goal is to launch a book. I want to write a book. But I don't think I could ever do it. I don't think anyone would ever buy it. And it's just a big mountain of a task. And it's easy for her to feel like she hasn't done anything because she's not running a business or anything. She just raised 2 kids. And I'm like, you just raised 2 kids. Like, that's way harder than writing a book. Way harder. You showed up for they're 12 years old. Yeah. You had sleepless nights, you had to make decisions, some of them were good, some of them were bad, you ran out of money, you had stress, you had fights with your partner. Man, writing a book's easy. And I just put it into perspective. Okay, so if I can draw these things into my life, what have I actually done? Number 5, where have you failed? What have you failed at? What adversity have you overcome? And be honest with yourself. Don't keep it a secret. No one has to read this list. But share it so you can at least acknowledge it. Number 6, I would actually write down like, if I wasn't going to get paid for one project this year, what would it be? And I think that would be really important. For me to find me, man, I'm always working for free. Always. I do it, not because everyone in the industry is telling me not to undercut the market and you got to value yourself, everyone's going to... No, I do it because, man, I'm just changing my life, that's all. So when you become your story, you're going to become irreplaceable. I want to share a couple quick stories with you, really quick, okay? 2 stories. They're going to be Instagram captions. Number 1, just pretend you're looking at my Instagram account right now. Had the best weekend with Darren and Sarah, got to shoot a wedding in the vineyards again. So blessed, can't believe it, can't wait till next weekend. I mean, how many captions do you see that all the time? I mean, I see those captions every single one. Okay, all right, I get it. So that's a story, that's a forgettable story. We will never forget, we will never connect, and we don't want to use that to get more sales. It will never connect with somebody. Let's tell a second story. Same wedding. Can't remember, what was their names? Darren and Sarah. So, second story. I can't believe he just said that. He was crying while he was saying that at the speech. And I knew he was going to say it because he told me hours earlier, and I told him I was going to put a lens in his face, and I was going to take a photo, and it's going to be one of the best photos you ever see, because this is the moment that everyone actually wants to see. And he told me, no one wants to see it. I'm like, you'll be surprised. What's a better story? Specific, targeted, because it's through your lens now. So we can use this storytelling. If I'm in a client meeting, I'm not like, I do documentary wedding photography. Who fucking cares? The next person's going to say the same thing, they're going to do it cheaper. And so is the next one, and so is the next one. What does documentary wedding photography mean to you? What does luxury wedding photography mean to you? Like, tell me a story. Like, I shoot luxury weddings because I grew up with no money. And it gives me an insight to see the things that I never had. And it gives me an appreciation of a whole nother world that I never got to see before. And that's why I started wedding photography. That was actually the reason as well, by the way. So here's a quick story. It doesn't have to, I don't say, it doesn't have to be big and vulnerable and stuff, but here's a quick story. Someone said, Jai, you're too expensive. I'm like, I know. Yes, this is more expensive experience, and you are worth it. I can share a story like that just makes it so easy, but it brings it back to them. Because I am sold on my services. How much time have I got? Ooh, okay. So, to finish up chapter 1, a few years ago, the one girl that came to my workshop, she was in my course in the business map, and I was in a coaching session. There was like 50 of us in there, and she put her hand up. She's like, Jai, do you remember the one time that you flew to New York and you were talking to somebody? I was like, yeah, I can't forget, but how do you know? And she's like, that was me. Shit. And she's like, I've been following you ever since, and to be honest, it profoundly affected me, what you said, and it was the best. Like, it was like, I got to witness everything that you made just for me. Like, it was a transformation. And I got thinking about it, and I was like, man, so often we see these things as failures, but we don't realize that it's something more. And I actually think what it is it's a story. Like, I've got a story, and my story's unveiling right now, and it's really cool, and I can bring these experiences in. I'm also really proud of myself, because I did show up and I did do the talk, and I know no one would do that. I can almost guarantee no one in this room would do that. It would be so scary. And I always find myself in the position that I will do more than anybody else, because I'm always thinking about, man, my success is so important to me. I grew up where I grew up, and I did the things, but for me, I'd rather be uncomfortable. I'm trying to help somebody else. So I've got a bigger purpose than myself. So who knows? Experiences might lead to your next transformation. So chapter 2, don't worry, we're getting into the nitty-gritties of things. Transformation. I think one of the biggest differences between the people that I see that are not doing so well is they're creating a transaction business. Everything's a transaction. How much are you getting paid? Are they going to pay the credit card fees? How much am I paying my second photographer? How can I get some more money? And it's like this all the time. And I see the people that win big, man, they're doing something else. They've got a transactional business. And when you have a transactional business, people don't ask you for discounts. I noticed that. People will fly you around the world. It makes no sense that I've flown around to so many continents to do so many things. Makes no sense. When I was in Melbourne, I had so many photographers there that are incredible, like the best artists you've ever seen. And when I would catch up with them, they had no work. Meanwhile, I was literally in the magazines. I had a newspaper write about me, calling me Melbourne Brainchild when I started my business. It was hilarious. All my friends laughed at me. I was like, I don't know where that came from. And I was fully booked. And then I won random as awards. Like I got the Rangefinder Award. I don't know how that happens. And then I got this, the other one was like runner-up Australian Photographer of the Year. I was like, cool. I don't know who makes that up. But I wasn't the best. I was sold on myself. And so if someone was walking around this room right now, I put my hand up. I'm like, man, I've fucking got something to share here. Like, I'm on a mission. Okay, so because of that person that's so sold on themselves, they're always going to get more than everybody else. Because the artist, we need to connect the dots and fall in love with connecting with people, I guess. So, here's what I believe. Every time, raise your hands if you've ever felt nervous giving someone your prices.
Giving what?
Prices. Numbers. A few of you guys? Yeah? Yeah, 4 people? Nice. So, here's the thing. Whenever I've been nervous about sharing my prices, the reason being is because I haven't been emotionally or deeply connected to my own prices. They've been something that's really random, like I made it up and I'm hoping for the best. And I believe that you have to put an emotional connection to these things. So for instance, if I'm sitting in a client meeting and I'm showing them my numbers and I'm feeling nervous, maybe I should give a discount, let's not talk about the numbers, and all these things, my brain's sort of just telling me all these things, that I know something's wrong. But for me, I look at these numbers and I'm like, man, I'm changing my life. This is going to be epic. I can't wait to do that for myself. And then for my client, I want them to feel seen and heard. I want to bring out the best out of them. How do I do that? Well, it comes down to these numbers. Now, if I can get them emotionally connected to the numbers, then it's like, here's the digits. We can do this together. And it only takes this. And I want to share it now. Fuck, wait until you see my prices, man. They're going to be more expensive than you think, but you're going to love it. Okay? I'll joke with my clients all the time. I'm like, this is going to break the bank. But if you want that transformation to happen, let's make it work. It's the same as every time that I've not wanted to show up on social media or not wanted to advertise, and I've said something like, I don't want to be obnoxious. I don't want to overshare. I don't want to post 3 times a day. I'm going to annoy my audience. It's because I'm not actually connected to what it is I want to do. Because if I was, I would be banging out emails every hour. I'd be on Instagram all the time because I'm on a mission now. Like, I'm changing my life, but it's a shame if someone walks out of this room and they don't book me. Does that make sense? So I think if we can really think about the mechanics of what it is that you do and get sold on those things, and you need to change it until you get sold. Like, you have to be so sold. I don't want to hear like, oh, I don't share my prices because I am too expensive. Because then you are. And it is a rip-off. So you shouldn't do that. Because it's not about like looking around what everyone else is doing. It's like, you need to be able to walk in a room and go, this is what I'm doing, and it's irresistible. Okay? And then what happens? Well, confidence grows. And what happens with confidence? I'll start increasing my prices. Then what happens? I get better clients. People no longer ask me for discounts. Like, Jai, I spent $2,000 more on him and he was still a better deal than the other guy. So there's a really good book called Give and Take by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And I think, actually, I don't know, I didn't fact check that. But this is a mentality that I've been working with for a long time, and I think giving without expecting has always been something for me that's worked so well. So you don't have to take on this on board, but for me it's worked so well. I know the first thing, if we are in the taking mentality, the first thing that comes into our minds is, oh, but someone's going to take advantage of me. Someone's going to underpay me. Someone's going to take from me. Someone's going to steal from me. And we get stuck in this moment. But if you give and you have your heart on your sleeve, you actually can't get taken advantage of, because it's only you that takes advantage of you. Like every time that I've taken advantage of myself, it's because I actually probably chased the money more so than anything, and I made a wrong decision, and I took advantage of me. I shouldn't have done the deal, shouldn't have done the job, whatever it is. But me, I look at what is my vision, what's my big thing, what am I going to do, and then I go hard and go, yeah. I don't care how much, what's your budget? You know what I mean? Give us whatever's in your pocket. We'll make this happen because I'm going somewhere, okay? So giving without expecting is going to give you more confidence. Because guess what? If you're in a sales transaction and you're giving to somebody, it's impossible to be nervous. It's impossible to feel like you're taking anything. It's also impossible to lose. So if I'm standing here right now and I'm on stage and I'm giving to you as much value as I can, it's actually kind of impossible for me to be nervous. Even though I hate being on the stage, it's actually impossible. But if I had the taking mentality, I would be like, hopefully they like me. Hopefully I get an applause. Hopefully I get something. Hopefully I'm approved. And then I stand to lose everything. And I stand here and I'm nervous. Does that make sense? So takers carry way too many expectations, because if you walk into a client meeting and you're talking to your client and you want to get paid for whatever reason, what happens is you stand to lose everything. If they walk out, then that's it. You lose your confidence as well, because people stop booking you, and then you feel like, oh man, like something's wrong here. I think every time that I've shown up into a transaction where I am trying to, sell to somebody, sell an idea, sell my services, sell myself, and I've come and I'm trying to take, it fills me with anxiety, unfulfillment. I never hit the target. It's almost impossible for me because my expectations are so high. My expectations are a killer of joy, and it just never works. And what's really interesting is my wife actually called this out the other day, and she was like, Jai, you should tell everybody how you kind of just, you've never saved and you never thought money was going to run out because you just make more. It's exactly how I feel, right? So just to be fully transparent, on my flight over, I've made some bad financial decisions lately, and I'm just plummeting my ship at the moment. And I had about $17,000 left in my bank account for payroll this month and everything else, in my business. And my brother just contacted me and he's like, Jai, just to get through, man, can I borrow $15,000? And I'm like, shit. Yeah, of course you can. And I was like, to be honest though, I've only got $2,000 left and I've got to pay payroll this week, and payroll's like $6,000 a week. And he's like, okay. Well, you don't have to lend it to me. I'm like, no, take the money because I'll make new money. I always make new money. And just to prove this as well, I've been in business for 13 years now, and I've had a lot of employees, and I've actually never not put food on the table, or I've never had to let go of anybody, even during COVID, because of any reason. And I'm really proud of myself for that, because every single year, I've almost gone bankrupt every time. I'm always like skimming across, just like a little bit. And then I'm like, something happens, man. Like I actually got paid for a mentoring session that I'm doing. It's like a big mentoring session. Went in my bank account today while I was walking here. I was like, dang, yes. That's amazing, I'm like, cool. Life is good. But it's kind of random. It just happens like that all the time. So when I had my cafe, what I noticed is about 6 months into owning my cafe, I really started struggling, and I went into that taker's mentality. I started thinking about how can I raise my prices? How can I get some more clients? But how could I give them discounts to get more people in there? And I was just thinking, how could I get? And what I noticed was all the people that showed up and worked for me for free all disappeared. Because I wasn't sold on me anymore, so nobody else was sold on my vision. So I was alone. And then I had to work harder, and the more work that I did, not more money I got. I actually got less money. So I was putting less value into the world, which always equals your bank account. So I was putting no value, and then I was getting no money. I remember it was 12 months to the day, and my wife said, Jai, we've got to close down the shop. Like, we just can't do this anymore. And I agreed, which I didn't want to. I remember closing that roller door, and we were in a friend's car that they gave us, this old van. We drove out to the beach, and we weren't living anywhere. And I was laying in the back of this Tarago van, and I just remember, man, I felt like a failure. It was the lowest point of my whole life. And I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't support my partner. I grew up homeless, and I was like, well, now I'm homeless again, and I'm only 20. Like, I fucked up. And I knew, like, everyone was going to see me as a failure and everything else. And then I woke up that morning. Well, actually, I didn't go to sleep. And I remember the sun was rising over the ocean, and I was laying there, and the windows cracked a little bit, and there was some air coming in, and I just felt so free for the first time in 12 months, you know, because my dad passed away, and because everything happened. And I just felt free for the first time. And I was like, shit, if this is the lowest moment of my life, I've literally got nothing to lose. And then, from there, I changed everything. So what we want to do, this is what I believe, is in any transaction, when you're buying and selling with anybody, if I stand here right now and I sell to you, you have all the power because you get to say yes or no. So the buyer always has the power, which means you're powerless in any transaction. If the client walks through the door, I'm just thinking, shit, man, hopefully my prices are good, hopefully this and that. But what I can do is I actually, because I don't like doing sales, I know it's important, but I don't like it, I can actually turn my buyer into a seller, and I can become the buyer in this relationship. So I can do things like on my website and say, hey, I only booked 30 weddings this year, or I only booked 30 weddings. If you would like to see if you are the right fit, send me an inquiry, and I'll get in touch with you. And what's really interesting when you start using this language and you turn them into a buyer, all of a sudden everything changes, because they go, oh, Joe, well, it's not going to be a traditional wedding, I can tell you that much. Like, you should see the cake, you should see, oh my God, we're actually going to elope, it's going to be on top of a hill, are you available? I can change the date. And I can see him frantically selling to me, and I'm like, what the fuck? April 1985, the beverage company Coca-Cola brought out a brand new recipe, and it's called New Coke. And it's seen as one of the biggest flops in sales and marketing history, so there's been a lot of studies done on it. Coca-Cola went ahead and did some product research on 200,000 people across 25 cities. And whilst they were conducting this research, for the first group, they put 2 glasses of Coke in front of people, and both were unlabelled, and they asked them which one was better. 55% of them said the new one was better. They're like, awesome, we're on something here. And then they changed it up, and then they put the label on it. So the old Coke and new Coke. And then 67% of people said the new Coke was better. And then Coca-Cola was like, epic. We know now that our marketing needs to be new. They released it 28th of April, 1985, and there was an outroar. People were signing petitions, showing up at courthouses, like it was the most bizarre thing, and people were angry. No one liked the new Coke anymore. What happened was, when they did the experiment when they first started, they gave them the new Coke that wasn't available, and people wanted what they couldn't have. Then when they brought it out to the masses, the old Coke was no longer available. So that was now the desired one. And they failed to realize people want what they can't have more than anything else. So if I become the buyer, then I'm not just giving myself to everybody. And the moment that I start putting a couple of little barriers in the way is the moment that people have to sell themselves to me, because they want what they can't have, and they will get it. What I like to do is just ask, listen, and act. How many people have heard someone say, I've got a friend, no, maybe it's actually that person that says like, I'm really good at sales, I love talking. Yeah, worst salesperson ever, right? They don't realise it. The person that's best at sales is usually an introvert. Someone that's maybe a little bit more emotionally connected, maybe they have empathy, and they're able to listen, and they're not trying to overpower anything by just saying everything about themselves. And it's really easy. Everyone has an ego, so all you have to do is step back and allow somebody to express themselves. So I'll ask questions. If I have a client meeting and they say, hey, Jai, so tell us about your style. In my head, I'm like, they don't really care. Because they already looked at my website and my Instagram. They've already seen everything. I sent them a slideshow and I've sent them everything. But what they're asking is, hey, Jai, ask me what I like about your style. Like, I'd like to talk more about that. And I say, hey, yeah. I'm glad that you noticed some stuff about my style. Tell me what you like about it. Oh, I'm glad you asked, Jai. Half an hour conversation. I listen and then I act. Well, based on that, we can move forward. If that's exactly what you want, I believe the middle package for you. Does that make sense? Does anyone do this in their business? Yeah? You listen? And then you act on those things?
Why they chose me to speak?
Yeah. I think it's so important. Okay, chapter 3. I know I'm running out of time, and I seem to always do that. But the mechanics, how does all this work now? Because I know I shared a lot of mindset stuff and everything else. So the one way to think about it is we actually need like a sales funnel. And the way that I think about this is, I don't know if anyone's here ever been to an art gallery, but the way that they tend to work is somebody, ooh, I've got a laser pointer, check this out. I don't know if you can see it at the back there, but I'll describe it to you. So I'm laser pointing up here and I'm going around the corner. So you walk into the art gallery and then you get to see the things that you want. Usually you hang your coat, that's going to be here. And then you got information desk, information everywhere. Where's the toilets, where's the things? Okay, now you're happy. You walk through and then you enjoy yourself. You get to see the art and everything else. And on the way out, I can't exit through here and I have to exit through here, through the shop. Now, I can tell you what, I would actually be annoyed if I had to walk through here. Because I'd be like, man, they're just fucking selling to me. I just got here and I just want to go see the exhibition. Why am I having to buy trinkets right now? But on the way out, I love this spot. I'm going to get a trinket, just let everyone know. Little fridge magnet. I'm going to get a book. I'm going to get a shirt. And so our business is just like this. We can craft it just like this. And I think about how do we make somebody feel, okay, through all the things that you do. And what I want you to do is I actually want you to write down exactly how your clients go through your business, every single step of the way, okay? I just wrote this down randomly. Instagram's got a Facebook logo, which is cool. Double Facebook logo. I want you to know exactly. Now, what you need to do in your business, if you want to take control of your sales and you want to make a lot more money, is you need to perfect every single step, every detail. And then the second thing you've got to do is you've got to have less details. It's easy to perfect when there's less steps. So if your funnel has a whole lot of things to do, you need to have a whole lot less. If someone can contact you and just book you straight through the Instagram app, you should do it, really. It should be as easy as possible for your client, not as easy as possible for you. And if we do craft all the way through, then we know when someone finds us, we know what that experience is going to be like. When they purchase from us, we know what that's like. When I'm swiping their credit card, I know how they feel. It's a great experience. If my retention, how many times, like my customer support, how many times am I getting back to my clients? You know, have I got a workflow and I write to them every 3 months before the job? My loyalty. I'm also at the end of this, I'm going to give you, I've got a QR code, I'm going to give you my slides. And after this, I'm going to quickly write out a few things and make it a little bit more detailed. So fill it out, but I'm going to, in a couple of hours, deliver you a different slide deck with more stuff on it. So, this is perfect timing, isn't it? Jeez, I'm good at time. You know, I'm so worried about time every time. So let's talk about these things then, because this is sort of just to wrap everything up. I think about, let's go into consideration. Let's go into awareness, consideration, and purchase. Let's go into those. What I mostly see when I work with a lot of photographers, like inside my mentoring and everything else, is I see somebody has a great Instagram account and the grid's really good and it sends them to a homepage. Homepage doesn't have too much information on it. Like it just says maybe book me or actually, no. At the end it has a call to action. It says follow me on Instagram and then it sends people back to there. That's always hilarious. Or I get to the purchase and then, you know, there's not much going on there. So what I want you to do, if we go back to the storytelling thing, and now that you guys have all done the thing to like find your story, what makes me unique and what makes me special and why is someone going to book me opposed to anybody else, I'm going to share that story from start to finish. I'm going to make sure that it's coherent and cohesive all the way through. So if I'm running an ad or if I'm on Instagram and I'm like, on the weekend, this is exactly what I did, this is how I felt, this is, you know, I'm going to share my values and my beliefs because that's going to connect the people, it's going to bring them to me. And then when I get to my sales page, not my home page, it's going to bring them further onto that journey. And I'm going to talk to them again in the same way. You know, you probably don't believe in big fussy weddings. I don't either. That's why you're here right now. And I'm going to share first person to them. It's not going to be generic. I'm not going to use fluff words, man. I hate all the words where it's like, it's an investment and we're in love. Like, if you don't talk that way, don't write that way. Don't let ChatGPT write that way for you either. We want to write the way that we speak. And I don't know if anyone's on my mailing list here, but man, I got spelling mistakes through everything. It makes me human, and people love my mailing list because of that reason. And if it was just ChatGPT, then every educator can just copy me. And that just rhymed, and that was cool. Okay, so the purchase, I think about like if people love to spend money, right? Does everyone in here like to spend money? Yeah? Oh, wait, but why are we always scared to take people's money? It's pretty weird, isn't it? If I go down to Main Street down here and someone's got their Louis Vuitton bag, I'm sure they've always got a Prada bag, and you know they've got a whole bunch of things. Not just one thing. Once you swipe the credit card, they want to buy lots of things. People love to spend. It gives them a hit. And if they're booking a service-based provider that's going to give them the transformation that they want to spend that money. And plus some. They're excited about it. They told you that they've got a small budget. Okay, I've got a small budget, and they get out the credit card and they're looking at its platinum. I mean, budgets don't exist, man. That's why we're all in debt, right? Because if budgets actually existed, like, we'd have money. But I don't think I don't save. Let's get a loan out and buy the thing, man. So what I want to do is I want to take people's money and I want to give them the best experience possible so that way I know I'm fulfilling the thing that they want. So that's why I will joke with my clients, like, hey, swipe that credit card. Man, this is going to hurt. Did it hurt? How'd it feel? The deposit's in there. The rest is due 2 weeks before, okay? You can do payment plan if you want. You can pay me crypto, Bitcoin, PayPal, Stripe, whatever it is, man. I take your money. No worries, okay? I'm not a type of person that's going to be like, no, it has to be bank transfer because it cost me 2%. And like, no, I make it so easy for them. How do you want me? I mean, you want to pay me in cash? In euros? All right, man. It's going to be hard for me, but I'll take it. We can do that. So I make it exciting for them to actually make the purchase, and I never shy away from it. And I think the moment that we actually shy away from talking about our prices proudly, and if we're not connected deeply, then I think people are not going to want to buy from us. And when they don't see your value, the first thing they're going to say to you is, can I get a discount? Or you're out of my budget. And the reason why you're out of their budget is because you didn't sell to them. Because Lord knows, no one's writing emails out to people just for no reason. They were waiting for you to actually make the sale. Ooh, time's looking good. Yeah, I'm going to send you some more of that. So I know I've thrown a lot at you today, but I just believe this is life. I believe this is life. And as entrepreneurs and as creatives, yeah, I mean, see if you can feel that out, and I will send something in a couple of hours. I've slept 4 hours in the last week, so I haven't done it yet. But I believe, what was I talking about? I believe when we get to choose the stories that we see, right? And we get to choose to see the possibilities. We get to choose to see things to be cup half full, cup half empty. And I think if we just make one more choice to see things in a positive way, it's going to make your life so much lighter and so much easier. I believe if we find a deeper story that people can connect with, I believe you're going to find your success right there. Thank you, guys.